In today's video, we're going to be talking about comping with the bass drum in a jazz context. A huge shout out to Lizard Ears 4861 for requesting this video. So first, we'll talk about feathering the bass drum, then we'll have a look at some independence basics, and then we're going to move on to some creative two-note bass drum comping patterns in the second half of this video. So this is a great place to start if you're new to comping with the bass drum. So essentially, we're just going to play small strokes about 1 to 2 inches off the bass drum head, and we're going to play on each quarter note of the bar. So feathering the bass drum will add a nice low end to your grooves, since the ride cymbal and hi-hat are both much higher frequencies. Adding the feathering on the bass drum will add a nice low end to the band or ensemble. So now adding the ride and hats, it will sound like this. So then you can add your snare drum combinations over the top. I've covered a bunch of these in some videos, I'll link them up here. And then you can play this over the feathering bass drum and it will sound great for jazz tunes. So that's a great place to start. If you want a more modern sound, we're now going to open up the bass drum rhythms to play some more syncopated ideas so that we can interact and be active with the bass drum. So in practicing these next patterns, take your time and practice the coordination really slowly. So the trickiest thing is going to probably be keeping the left foot on 2 and 4 and playing the bass drum just before or just after with some of these rhythms. So take your time. If you have to, slow the coordination down where you just walk through each piece of coordination and then add in the metronome once it's feeling comfortable, and then you can work up the tempo from there. Okay, so first we're just going to play the bass drum on beat 1. Now we're going to play it on the 1 and. Then we're going to play it on the 2. And now the 2 and. Now we're just going to apply the same coordination we did but to the second half of the bar. So the good news is you've already covered this coordination. We're just going to start it in the second half of the bar. So first we have beat 3. Beat 3 and. Beat 4. And lastly, the 4 and. So those 8 examples are a great place to start when first building independence with the kick drum under the jazz ride cymbal and hi-hats. So once you've got those down, now we're going to take a look at some 2-note bass drum examples. And this is where your ideas will really start to open up. First, we're going to start by playing 2 eighth notes. So we're going to start with the 1 and we're going to move it and displace it through the whole bar. So first we have the 1 and. Next we have 1 and 2. Then we have 2 and. Two and into the 3. Now, same thing again, we've already covered the coordination, but we're just going to start it in the middle of the bar. So now we have the 3 and. 3 and into 4. 4 and. And lastly, 4 and into 1. Now with this example, I recommend don't play the beat 1 in the first bar because we are starting the phrase on the 4 and. So we're going to play the 4 and then the bar will loop and we're going to play beat 1 each time after that. Alright, and then the third lot of examples, we're going to space the bass drums a little bit further apart. So the first example we're going to play is going to be on beat 1 and the 2 and. Next, we'll do the 1 and 3. Then we'll do the 2 and 3 and. And then we'll do the 2 and 4. Now you can apply these to the second half of the bar to get the 3, 4 and, 3 and 1, 4, 1 and 4 and 2. So as you can see, this quickly opens up many possibilities once you start shifting these ideas around the bar. So there's many more examples that you can work through, but these examples will give you a good foundation for developing some independence with the bass drum. You can take some more rhythms and displace them if you like, or you can work on 3 or 4 note variations if you want to open up some more advanced ideas. So now, as always, it's very important that once you've worked on these coordination examples, that we have a little go improvising with them to work them into our playing. So I've covered some improvisation frameworks in my other videos on snare drum comping, so you can just use those same frameworks and apply them to the kick drum. Today I'm just going to demonstrate playing the ride cymbal and hi-hats on 2 and 4 and improvising some kick drum patterns. So chuck on the click, play along to your favourite jazz songs, or if you have a friend that plays bass, ask them to play a walking bass line and have a go playing your comping patterns with that. So practice all these exercises slowly, working on the coordination, add in the click and bring up the tempo, and then you can have some fun improvising with these bass drum comping patterns. I plan on writing a video combining the snare and the kick drum. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that or any other drum videos you'd like to see. If you're after some one-on-one guidance, I offer online drum coaching, so if that's something you're interested in, then hit the link in the description. And if you want to develop your snare drum comping, then check out this video here on how to do that.